for different purposes. So everything outside of the house, I use PVC. And there's another huge benefit to PVC that is growing by the day, and that is you can heat bend it. You can bend PVC pipe with heat to make small turns, to make adjustments when things don't always fit together. You cannot do that with ABS pipe. You can't do that with CPVC pipe, okay? This is also extremely expensive, and it's only used in hot water applications. Like you can, if you were to plumb a house with PVC pipe, the ideal way to do it is all the hot water is done with CPVC, okay? So we're not using hot water. We're just bringing in cold rainwater with PVC pipe. And now we get over to the tank, and if it's a drip system or any other outside plumbing, I use all PVC pipe. The only time I would use copper is on a drinking water system, or if the client wanted copper pipe, okay? And copper is very, very, very expensive. So the question comes in, how do you adapt plastic to copper? There's a way to do it that I've learned from experience, which the joint only gets stronger in time. One method, and we used to do this a long, long time ago until we found a better way, was let's say this is an existing galvanized fitting going into your old galvanized house. I wouldn't use what's called a male adapter, which is this fitting. I don't use these. The reason why is there's automatically built into them a place for them to break. It's just a poor design. This 90-degree transition and this 90-degree transition inside, you screw that in, and if there's shock on it over a period of time, they snap. I can't tell you how many leaks I've repaired with these pieces of CRAP. You got that? So, what's a better way to do it? A Schedule 80 nipple is smooth all the way through.
Yeah.
There's no bridge in it. It's also thicker walled. You put a Schedule 80 nipple. Except this only works when the water is staying a constant temperature. Meaning, I wouldn't do this with hot water. There's another way to do it with hot water. Okay? And this is what we would do. So, male Schedule 80 nipple to steel or copper female. That will work, except when you have a hot water situation.
What about the laundry machine that has a Schedule 80 nipple?
Okay.
Isn't there hot water coming out?
Yes. But by the time the wash load's done, is it still that hot? And it's on the drain side and it's not pressurized.
You're talking about really hot.
Well, I'm talking about what happens when your pump doesn't catch prime on your pressure system and it overheats. And I'll show you some examples of what happens when pumps overheat with plastic pipe.
Whoa.
That's all 1-inch fittings.
Whoa.
The Schedule 80 nipple stayed the same size, but it still leaked. Okay? And this held until that blew right there. And guess what happens? It's a pump controlled by a pressure switch. So I'll explain the malfunction later, but so the pump kept pumping. The valve was shut off. It generates heat. It kept pumping, kept pumping, and kept pumping. It burst. And guess what happened to all the water in the cistern? Emptied it.
Sayonara.
Yeah. So there's an ideal way to hook up an irrigation system, and it's not with a pressure pump. It's controlled by the time clock. We'll get to that in a second. So we're trying to go into our house, right? I showed you one way, but the best way is to have female steel threads. I'm sorry, male steel threads and female plastic that's contained by either a hose clamp, or you can actually buy these fittings professionally, but you can put a stainless steel hose clamp over it. Now, here's what happens. I tighten this up, and I'm not showing you the pipe joint fittings yet, okay? This is a female adapter, standard female adapter, but I buy them clamped already.
Oh, okay.
You add a clamp like this, a stainless steel clamp, and you can make your own. We did that for years until they made these things. Why do we do that? When plastic gets hot, after it cools off, it shrinks. This fitting will be loose. even though it's Schedule 80. Now you could put in CPVC. Okay, if you can find them. These are hard to get, really hard to get. If you do this and tighten it up, when this gets hot and shrinks, it just gets tighter. Okay, so this is the cleanest way to make the transition between a metal fitting and a plastic fitting. If you're going to copper, like let's say the client wanted copper, and you're going to run copper into the house. So your rainwater system, and then you have copper in the house, or you make the joint underground. This gets hot, which it will in Arizona. This shrinks and just gets tighter. Okay? Now, people say, how do you make that joint? How do you make this threaded joint? Do you use tape? There's multiple kinds of Teflon tape. There's multiple kinds of pipe dope. If you're doing anything with drinking water, it has to meet NSF 61, and most of them do. Because everyone's using, plumbers, what do they plumb it? House systems. It's got to meet drinking water. Okay? So, someone asked me, Mark, why do you have to put the compound on there? What's the purpose of it? 2 reasons. One, these threads aren't exact. It's not like a machine thread. And a lot of this stuff is made in China now, and all they did was copy our molds, and they got them a little bit off, so the stuff doesn't ever fit together like it should. So what the 2 purposes of the pipe joint compound are to fill the gaps, but also to lubricate the 2 materials so they can get as tight as possible without breaking. So what do I prefer? It depends.